Hi there and welcome to the presentation of our collaboration on the Moorebank Intermodal Terminal Project Australia. My name is Ben, and further on in this presentation you will meet Ethan and Syed as they elaborate further on this key piece of infrastructure. Throughout this presentation we hope to give light to the significance of this project and in particular the local and greater affected community. Throughout, we will give significant focus on how this project has either successfully or unsuccessfully utilised project management body of knowledge areas and where we think areas of improvement are required, integrated with possible ways of implementing these suggestions. The Moorebank Intermodal Terminal Project is one of the largest and highly critical infrastructure projects in Australia, with the aim of improving the efficiency of freight transportation by connecting road, rail and port networks. The project is estimated to cost over $1.6 billion with a projected completion date of 2024. Some highlighted benefits can be found on the Sydney Intermodal Terminal Alliance website, and these include the removal of up to 3,000 heavy truck movements off the road each day, reducing congestion on road networks, as well as decreasing the carbon emissions of up to 110,000 tonnes per year. With fewer movements from trucks and more freight movement capable per train freightliner, lower freight costs can be passed on to consumers. A creation of up to 6,800 jobs across the construction and operational phases. Economic benefits of up to $9 billion over the next 30 years of operation, creating good value for money from the investment from the government and private sectors. Our team's research has delved into the various project management aspects of the Moorebank Intermodal Terminal Project, specifically using the guidelines outlined in the PMBOK. The PMBOK, or Project Management Body of Knowledge, is a set of best practices and standards for project management, developed by the Project Management Institute. Throughout our research, we have focused on the various stages of the project lifecycle, from initial planning and budgeting to the ever-changing construction phases, and how areas of the PMBOK have been applied. These include knowledge areas such as scope management, time management, cost management, quality management, budget management, and risk management. Through our research, we have gained a deeper understanding of the project management strategies and techniques used in the Moorebank Intermodal Terminal Project, as well as the challenges and issues that arise in managing such a complex and large-scale project. Now I'll focus on key successes and underlying causes. To begin with, I will be focusing on some of the areas which have been deemed as a success in the delivery of this project to date, from a project management perspective. This is a complex and challenging project that has required the coordination of many different stakeholders and the management of many different significant risks. Despite these challenges, the project has been an overall success to date, and I would like to share with you some of the reasons why. Firstly, effective project management has been crucial to the success of the Moorebank Intermodal Terminal Project. The project team has been able to manage this project in a way that has allowed it to stay on track, within budget, and to meet its milestones. This has required careful planning, risk management, and communication between all parties involved. Although there have been some slight delays in the project in some areas due to certain issues, such as contamination and the recent pandemic, the focus on successful collaboration between management, stakeholders, and the people building the project, the overall completion timeframe has been capable of remaining on track and within the overall budget. The Moorebank Intermodal Project in Australia provides a good example of a large-scale infrastructure project that has effectively managed risks through proactive risk identification, willingness to adapt to changing circumstances, and strong communication and collaboration skills. For example, the project team has implemented various measures to mitigate potential risks associated with the construction of the project, such as conducting an extensive environmental impact assessment. This can be seen in the Moorebank Intermodal Terminal Project Environmental Impact Statement, Volume 5B. By doing this, they have been able to develop plans to minimise the project's impact on nearby communities. In addition, the team has worked closely with government agencies such as the local council to secure necessary permits and approvals, which has helped to streamline the project timeline. Furthermore, the project team has demonstrated a willingness to adapt to changing circumstances by pivoting the project plan as needed to address unforeseen challenges. For instance, when COVID-19 hit and disrupted global supply chains, the team responded quickly by re-evaluating the project's approach to completing and finding ways to work safely within their current environment and adapting it to meet the changing market demands. This flexibility helped the project stay on track despite the pandemic-related disruptions. The project's team's successes in managing risk can be attributed to their strong communication and collaboration skills. The team has maintained open lines of communication with stakeholders, including local communities, businesses, and government agencies, to ensure that everyone is informed and engaged throughout the project. This has helped to build trust and foster collaboration, which has been critical in mitigating potential conflicts and keeping the project moving forward. The project team established a Community Consultative Committee, or CCC, and have been regularly updating this group to engage with local communities and businesses, provide regular updates on the project's progress, and address any concerns or issues. The CCC consists of representatives from various local community groups, including residents, businesses, and environmental organisations, as well as government agencies. According to the project's environmental impact statement, the CCC meets quarterly and provides a forum for open and transparent communication between the project team and the stakeholders. The CCC has also helped to identify potential risks and concerns early on, which has allowed the project team to address them proactively before they become major problems. In conclusion, the Moorebank Intermodal Terminal project in Australia serves as an excellent example of the importance of effective project management in ensuring successful project delivery. The commitment and dedication of all stakeholders involved, from the project managers to the contractors and suppliers, has resulted in a smooth flow of key project aspects. By adopting best practices in project management, such as risk management, stakeholder engagement, and project monitoring and control, the Moorebank Intermodal Terminal project has remained on track and within budget, and to the satisfaction of all parties involved. This project stands as a testament to the importance of collaboration, communication, effective project management, and in achieving successful outcomes for the complex and challenging project. I'll now touch on project schedule management. Project schedule management is a critical aspect of any construction project, including the Moorebank Intermodal Terminal project. The project schedule defines the timeline for completing the various stages of the project, including design, procurement, construction, and commissioning, and helps ensure that work is completed on time and within budget. According to the 2017-2018 ANAO report on the delivery of the Moorebank Intermodal Terminal project, the project had experienced delays in construction which had impacted the schedule. The report identified several reasons for the delays, including the complexity of the project, changes in scope, and issues with land acquisition and approvals. To manage the project schedule, the Moorebank Intermodal Company, or MIC, had implemented a range of strategies, including setting clear milestones and deadlines for project stages, monitoring progress closely, and using project management software to track tasks and identify any issues. However, the ANAO report noted that the MIC could have improved its scheduling practices by setting more realistic timeframes for tasks, improving the accuracy of the project data, and ensuring that stakeholders were adequately informed of any changes to the project schedule. Overall, it is clear that the effective project schedule management is crucial for the successful delivery of the Moorebank Intermodal Terminal project, and ongoing efforts are needed to ensure that the project is completed on time and within budget. To conclude, the key success of the Moorebank Intermodal Terminal project from a project management perspective lies in the effective management of the project directly relating to the PMBOK areas, the management of stakeholder engagement, and the management of project risks.
Although the majority of the project development has been successful, it has not been without challenges. Throughout this section of the presentation, I'll be outlining the major challenges faced by management and how they overcame said challenges. Due to the sheer size of the Moorebank terminal, the majority of initial challenges came from choosing a location that would not only satisfy the environmental requirements, but also the social impact. From an environmental aspect, obviously a large area with a flat or shallow grading is required. With an estimate of roughly 240 hectares of developable land, the intermodal would be equivalent to the Sydney CBD. Furthermore, due to the constraints on the operation of freight trains, a gradient of less than 2% is required. Any deviation would impact costs and planning. The proposed land also needed to be unencumbered by existing land use and environmental constraints, ensuring the build would not acquire any unnecessary costs or impact any heritage ground. From a purely operational point of view, the build must be suitably far from sensitive adjoining land, yet close enough to container destinations with direct connections to the regional road network and freight rail network. As intermodal terminals generally operate 24/7 and are accompanied by constant noise from machinery and transport, the build would ideally be in an industrial area away from residential areas. To ensure effective and efficient use of the terminal, it must be directly connected to the encasing services, including warehousing and logistics land, while also having access to interstate transport. This requires access to roads that can facilitate numerous trucks without major impact from local traffic, as well as access to the freight train network to local and national ports. As you can imagine, finding a site that meets all the aforementioned requirements proved to be challenging, especially considering the competitive land grab environment. Therefore, the project was subject to considerable scrutiny by both the state and Commonwealth regulators, along with the community. Thus, location became the main focus in project development. After much deliberation and research, two sites were eventually proposed: the Commonwealth Government INT site and the SIMTA site. Both were brownfield sites that were previously used for defence-related purposes. Both sites were relatively flat and had good strategic position, with the Commonwealth site being the larger of the two. The land eventually chosen was the Commonwealth site, that was previously owned by the Department of Defence as a School of Military Engineering. The proposed land had a 300-hectare area that was almost completely flat. Being a brownfield site, there were no environmental values that would be negatively impacted through development. Furthermore, the site is close to the South Sydney Freight Line, or the SSFL, and is directly adjacent to the M5 motorway, therefore offering sufficient access to the necessary transport means required to run the terminal. With the site chosen, various other concerns raised by the state, Commonwealth and community became the new priority. These include European and Aboriginal heritage, biodiversity, regional and local air quality, health impact assessment and human health risks, visual impact, traffic and transport, and noise and vibration. The site's previous military use brought with it various on-site buildings and artefacts that were given a heritage status. Due to the size of the planned intermodal, there was little room for alteration of plans to avoid these buildings without having a significant budget impact. Therefore, management took a different approach by working directly with the Department of Defence in their relocation strategy, where the buildings of most significance were able to be included in the relocation. Included in the site plan was the east bank of the Georges River. Within this bank resided various threatened flora species, as well as Aboriginal heritage land. Therefore, development of the area was no longer feasible. In response, a conservation area was established by the EIS, and the project planning was revised to include offset areas to comply with the land conservation. The noise impact of the intermodal became a sort of grey area for management, as the majority of community concerns came from the impact of trains along the SSFL. From a technical standpoint, the noise complaint would only concern management once the freight train entered the site. Otherwise, it was a concern of the Australian Rail Track Corporation. Regardless, various options were explored to mitigate on-site noise. These strategies include wild rail track radii to reduce wheel squeal, track damping, and noise barriers. Through much revision, the site plan has since been changed to ensure all rail lines are centrally located on the site, therefore being surrounded by warehousing and noise barriers once fully developed. Furthermore, the implementation of quieter electrical and automated equipment has also been put into effect. One of the more prominent concerns from the intermodal development is the generation of truck traffic. Due to the already existing congestion along the M5, the addition of the necessary on and off ramps to the site would introduce complex traffic movements. With the majority of traffic produced from site being large trucks, peak surrounding traffic would coherently be affected. Through the implementation of intensive traffic modelling, areas that would experience the most impact were identified and planning was put into place. Currently, Moorebank Avenue and Anzac Road are undergoing improvements with the installation of stormwater, the relocation of utility services and earthworks. Bapaun Road has been upgraded as it will be the primary access road for construction, and plans for a new road, Bushmaster Avenue, have progressed. All direct roads are being upgraded or developed such that there are signalised intersections at all entrances to the site, while increasing the number of through traffic lanes. Furthermore, plans are being developed to improve travel westbound along the M5 motorway. As a whole, the introduction of the terminal would decrease the number of trucks in a regional sense, as the requirement of truck transportation between Port Botany and Western Sydney will be eliminated. Therefore, priority has been put on the roads in the immediate vicinity. As the site would be a central hub for various forms of transport and machinery, there is no surprise that the local community would be concerned with the effect on air quality, and more importantly, the health of those nearest to the site. From a regional view, the decrease in overall truck traffic would actually have a marginal improvement in air quality, but various fail-safes were introduced regardless. Firstly, an intensive study of the current and projected air quality was undertaken through the use of government monitoring stations and on-site air quality monitors. The results being that generally, the air quality is well within the standards set by the Environment Protection Authority, or the EPA, and that any outliers were a result of bushfires within the region. Although management sought to improve the project's overall environmental performance anyway. Changes such as an electrical plant and machinery, as well as the limitation on long-term idling of any diesel transportation, are just a few of the planned solutions. Currently during construction, the following measures are being utilised. Wheel washing to limit dirt tracking on the surrounding roads, dust suppression through compaction, suppression and water carts, and of course, constant monitoring to ensure the project is within regulation. To conclude, management's ability to be adaptable in their communication, cost and time management was crucial to the success of the project and its continued planning. Furthermore, the constant alteration of planning to mitigate revealed risk shows that the management team is set on providing a quality finished project that satisfies all involved stakeholders.
Project manager's job is to make sure that he comes to the best possible conclusion with the available resources he has, and same phenomenon was applied to Moorebank in the model, and there were certain limitations to the project and they could have been improved, which are going to be discussed as follows. For Moorebank in the model, the project managers applied an approach where they decided to work alongside Department of Defense to ensure and preserve the military heritage of the site, for which a feasibility test was performed on the structures within the vicinity of the site. However, the structures that were too unstable or too poor to be moved, they were kept intact over there, and they could cause a financial strain on the project. However, they can be introduced as military tourist attraction for the future for public, and can ensure a cash flow that could be used for the safekeeping of the military heritage, preserving the sanctity and the importance of the site to the military personnel. The Aboriginal and biodiversity heritage of any site is quite integral and has to be preserved at any cost. Same is the case with Moorebank. A proposal was put forward as a conservation area to be established, which is a great initiative by the project manager. However, it would still not offset the original environmental impact of the project, and still about 50 hectares of listed vegetation and Aboriginal heritage would need to be cleared out for development of rail tracks. This can be improved by introducing a secondary conservation area in a small space, just to minimize the impact of that 50 hectares that is still being removed just for the sake of railroad developments. And this could be introduced as a recreational center for the public, so the public would instill some confidence in this project and would not shy away from it. Noise impact would be the biggest negatives of Moorebank in the model. However, the project managers have actively worked on how to minimize the effect of noise to the outside locals and within the site to make it more feasible for the workers to work in by introducing noise barriers, widening the track radiuses, and also track dampening. However, this is quite an expensive feature, and the biggest issue from the locals was the nighttime noise. That could be minimized by introducing the workload in such a way that bulk of the runs are done during the day, like from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. and little to nothing should be left for the night to minimize the noise to the locals, because it is located in a quite suburban area, and any noise at night would be amplified and could cause nuisance to the locals. Traffic impact of Moorebank is to be considered quite sincerely and quite seriously, because it's gonna be a serious contributing factor of how the project prospers. The local roads, they might not be able to handle the additional influx of traffic, so the local council and local government have came together to decide to improve the quality of the roads. However, there might be delay for them to finish the roads on time, which could cause in turn delay to the project. Also, it is expected the Port Botany via M5 tunnel might have an increase in flux of traffic, as it's a two-way lane and cannot handle the additional influx of trucks flowing through it back and forth, and can cause traffic congestion. This can be improved by obtaining prior approval from local government and state governments to ensure the work on the roads within the local vicinity are started beforehand, and also to beat the traffic congestion, overnight deliveries are being suggested to ensure a smooth, swift transition from the port all the way to Moorebank without encountering any sort of traffic. Finally, the air quality and human health impacts of Moorebank is quite important, because the locals have extensively raised their issues on the acute air breathing problems and some heart related problems due to the air within the vicinity. However, researchers by EPA and local council have found out that the air quality is within the standards of EPA, but to instill confidence between the public, introduction of electrical plants instead of diesel plants, it's a costly measure, but it is a good one. However, to ensure local awareness and confidence, the EPA standards and EPA reports should be actively introduced and available to them, like to public, so they can come and study and understand that they're actually not at risk. And to ensure further satisfaction, annual checks by local inspectors within Moorebank in the model needs to be performed and reported back to EPA to ensure compliance and no.
In relation to the subject learning outcomes, our team's research linked the following points to ENGG461. The Moorebank Intermodal Terminal project highlighted the critical role that effective project management plays in achieving organisational goals and meeting stakeholder expectations. The project management team ensured that all stakeholders, including the government, local communities, contractors and suppliers, were engaged throughout the project's lifecycle, and their needs and expectations were considered. This helped in the continuing delivery of the project today. Our team identified key management processes, stakeholders, organisational factors and environmental factors that were critical in the delivery of the project. The project's management team implemented risk management plans which helped them to identify potential risks and take proactive measures to mitigate them. They also actively engaged relevant stakeholders and communicated with them effectively to ensure that everyone was aligned and working towards the same project objectives. Our team identified areas where the project management team demonstrated proficiency in applying a range of project management concepts, tools, and techniques to facilitate the delivery of the desired outcomes in engineering projects. They used project management methodologies to manage the project's complexity and uncertainty, which allowed them to adapt to changing circumstances and requirements quickly. The project management team at Moorebank Intermodal recognised the limitations of traditional project management techniques and implemented ways to address those limitations. As an example, they used collaborative project management approaches, which enable them to engage all stakeholders in decision-making processes and align everyone towards the project's objectives. Finally, the Moorebank Intermodal Terminal project provided identify the competencies required to effectively engage in and contribute to an engineering project. There was evidence to suggest that the project management team worked collaboratively with different stakeholders, applied project management concepts and techniques, and adapt to the changing circumstances and requirements.
Finally, in conclusion, Australia is expecting a boost in population in the future, and hence the reliance on these containerized products would be increasing, and the strain on the current ports would be a lot. So this is where the model of these international terminals like Moorebank intermodal terminals come into play and play a vital part in ensuring a swift and smooth transition from the port all the way to the consumer, especially in regional areas and interstate, as they're going to replace the traditional road transport via rail transport, which is more swift. But to ensure more sites are available in the future, local government and state government needs to work alongside each other to shortlist potential sites, which can be kept into consideration, ensuring that they can be dealt with if required in the future, rather than starting the whole process when needed. Overall, Moorebank's International Terminal was actually a carefully thought project, which is going to be quite integral to the transport system in the near future, and it's going to take a lot of burden off the ports who could deal with the influx of increased volumes in the near future. Thank you.